Hello dear subscribers and watchers, welcome back. This is me, Said here from Computer Science for Self-Taught. In this video, I'm going to show you a new way you can create your database and create your columns by using SQLite statements. If you are from the Java background, if you have used JDBC, you know what is prepared statements. So my idea is whenever the user provides username and password, when I click the create account, so the database will be created when I click this button alongside its tables, and on that time when the database and table have been created, so it's going to get the data and insert into the database table by using the statements. Okay, and when I click on the cancel button, so the activity will be disappear, and when I click on the get data, so it's going to get the data from the table and show to the user by using the alert dialog. Let's see what are these SQLite statements. So I have to handle the method of create account. Okay, so here it is, create account, and let's handle the cancel button also. Click on the cancel button, so the activity should be fade away. Whenever the user click on the cancel button, so the activity should be disappear, so I call the finish method. It's going to remove the activity from the current screen. So in order to create account, what I need is first I have to get the name. Okay, edit name dot get text dot toString string pass edit pass dot get text dot toString. So in here I use the SQLite database. In here I say that open or create database. Okay, it is a built-in method inside Android. So the first parameter, it requires the database name, so I pass as Thai, and the mode I pass mode private only. This app can read and write to the database, so I do not use the cursor factor. I'm happy with the default one. What does this method do is open or create database. First checks if the database exists or not as the name of Thai. If the database exists, so it's going to open the database and returns the reference of the Thai database into the SQLite database. And if the database Thai not exists, so it's going to create the database for you and returns the reference. And in here it sets the most to private. Now there may be this database is not created. Okay, let me name this database as my DB. You can also pass DB extension in here if you want, but if you don't pass .db, the constructor, the parent class, will do that for you. So I have to specify the column names in here: private static final string table name as my table. Okay, and it has two columns: private static final string as the name, three columns. I am sorry about this, as the name of ID, private static final string name. And it has private static final string password. Okay, so in here I will create a table database.exec SQL, and I pass the SQL query in here. So now our table is created. So in here I create a statement, my SQL statement equals to, I say insert into, okay, table name, which table, name table, name column, and password column, which values question, because we will bind the value of these question marks by using the SQLite statement. Okay, and I say database.compile statement, and it returns a reference of SQLite statement. So I pass the MySQL statement in here, it returns a reference of that database, and I store that SQLiteStatement equals to that. Okay, now I will bind the values for those question marks. So I bind a string. So in the first question I pass name, okay, statement dot bind string, and in the second question mark I pass the password. So in here I say that statement dot, if you call the execute method, it will execute your insert method, but you will not be aware whether your insert statement successfully inserted or not. But if you want to know about it, so you can call the execute insert. If you want to insert into your table, so call the execute insert. And if you want to delete or update to your database table, so call this method. So now I insert to my database table, so I call the execute insert. But if you call execute, it will consider the execute insert and execute update or delete. It will check which operation you're doing with the database table. If it is the execute, will come and execute this one, and if it is update or delete, so executes this method. So I will call the execute insert because it returns an ID of long, which is the ID of the row. So I store that in here, row ID, and I will check that if row ID was greater than 0, so come in here, else. So I will create a toast class inside this package. So I've already created a toast class. Make sure that you create something like this. Okay, so I say message.send message main activity that this passes context, and I say inserted successfully, else message.send message main activity that this unable to insert in case of any error. So this is the beauty of SQLite database. If you call the open or create database, it considers if the database exists, so it's going to open it. Otherwise, it will create the database for you. And by using the database object I call the exec_SQL to create our table, I say that create table if not exist, because I may insert several data to the app. So if we drop the table and we create the new table each time, so it will be something like, I can say your app will screw up. So that's why I say that create table if not exist. In here it checks that if the table exists or not. If the table exists, so this execute SQL will not be executed. Create a string variable MySQL statement, and I say insert into table name, into column name and password, and I put the placeholder in here, because whenever I say the database.compile statement, so this statement will be compiled by using the database object, and it returns a reference SQLite statement, and I store that inside the statement, and by using the bind string I pass their respective placeholder values, like question mark 1, which is this one. Okay, I pass name, and this question indicates name in here, and etc and etc. Now I want to insert into database, so I call execute insert, and it returns me the row ID, and in here I check if the row ID which is 1, 2 or greater than 0, so I say insert successfully, otherwise unable to insert. As I have told you before, that always put your database operations inside try catch block. Okay, so I will create a try catch block in here. If there an exception occurs, so I have to know about it. So what I'm going to do this, I will cut it here. Okay, I will get this part of code and I assign it to the database, and I put the database statement inside here. So I will get these values or these statements and I put them inside the try block. But before do that, I have to declare this outside catch statement. Okay, and again in here a statement equals to that, and in the finally part I will close them. And I first check that if a statement was not equals to null and database was not equals to null, so come and close them. There may be a chance that when you want to close your database and statement, the operating system doesn't allow you. So again I have to use the try and catch block. Okay, statement dot close, database dot close. So it says that these statement and this database may not get initialized, so I initialize them to null. Let's see again if it shows us an error or not. No, it doesn't. So let's run and see what happens. So I provide the name as computer and password as something like 1 2 3 4 5. Create account. It says inserted successfully. So our data has been inserted to the table MyDB. So let's see how we can get the data. Okay, whenever I click on cancel button, it calls the cancel and it finish or remove the current activity from the screen. Let's see how to work on get data. Okay, when I click on the button, so here I have to create the method of get data, and in here again I have to say that open or create database. So what was the name of my database? MyDB. So I'm going to copy this one. So the database is already exists and it is in the mode of private. I'm happy with the default cursor, so it returns a reference of SQLite database equals to open or create database. So in order to get the data, what I say, database dot query. Okay, the first one is your table name. So I say main activity dot table name. The second column is, so if you want to get all columns, so pass null. Okay, it will get all columns from your table. And if you want to get a specified column, so in here pass name those columns inside an array of strings. So I want get all columns or pass null. So I do not have a selection. I do not have selection org, and I do not have group by, and I do not have having, and I do not have order by, and I do not have limit. So it returns a cursor, and I stored inside cursor equals to database. So in here I may get several rows, so I use while again. So cursor dot move to next. So I will store the returned columns into the string builder equals to new string builder. So I have to get the id cursor dot get in cursor dot get column index main activity dot underscore id, give me the id of it, string name cursor dot get string cursor dot get column index main activity dot name string pass cursor dot get string cursor dot get column index main activity dot pass. So I will append them to the builder dot append. So I say id okay, name password so because I will insert more rows into my builder, so I will use the next line. So I want to toast them inside the alert dialog dot builder b equals to new alert dialog dot builder. So I pass the context as this b dot set title data, b dot set cancelable false, b dot set message builder dot toString. So b dot set positive, and I say close new on click listener, and I toast a message main activity dot this, and I say have fun. Put semicolon in here and make sure that you call the show method. Okay, let's run and see. So I've already provided some name and username, so I call the get data. You see ID 1, name computer, and password 12345. So let's add an extra number. So I say Alex password as something like this. Okay, create account, insert it successfully, get the data to name. So I want to get the row ID when I insert the value. So what I'm going to do is I will go to the create account. Okay, so in here I've got the ID, row ID, row ID. Okay, let's run it again. Okay, let's provide a new name, my home, something like this. Create account. You see, insert successfully row ID 3. When I click on the get data, let's see row ID 3, name my home, password as 7373. So this is how you can use the statement inside the Android Studio. Okay, first you need an SQLite statement and initialize both of them to null, and I create the table if not exists. Okay, because I click several times on create account, I don't want my previous table destroyed by the operating system, then a new table to be created, new columns of my table to be set, and then my values to be inserted. So that's why I say in here create table if not exists. If you don't provide it in here, you can't store all of your values. Okay, and then I call the method open or create database method. Ensures yourself that if the database doesn't exist at the name of my DB, so this method is gonna create this for you, and if exists, so it opens the MyDB database and returns a reference as of SQLite database, and you store that inside the database, and then you execute the SQL. Okay, if the database exists, so it's going to create for you. Otherwise, I say insert into table name password, and I use the binding string to pass the value of these placeholders. By using the compile statement, it returns a reference of a statement, and I use this statement object called the bind string into the question mark 1 pass name, and in the question mark or placeholder 2 pass password, and I call a statement.execute insert, and it's going to execute my query, and it ran successfully. So it's going to return me the row ID, and I check if the row ID was greater than 0, it means that row ID is greater than 1 and your value has inserted successfully. So it's going to toss a message for me. So this is how you can get the data, the same thing. Okay, so this is the last tutorial of SQLite database. I hope you have enjoyed from this video, and make sure that you like us, subscribe us, and hit the bell icons, because more incredible lessons are on the way. And if you guys do like what you saw, make sure that you subscribe us and let us know your thoughts in the comment boxes below this video. So support us in any way you can. Have fun learning. Peace out. I will catch you guys in the next video.